welcome to the show. I guess it's kind of weird calling it a show. It's just a conversation. That's
Yeah.
all I see it. But dude, this is an honor. Thank you for
Yeah.
talking to a weird sounding guy.
Thanks for reaching out. I'm ready to do this.
Hey, let's listen to some of your stories, man. Like obviously we shared a little bit of the past couple of minutes before we smashed that button, but kind of a pretty decent athlete, and now gone into the industry.
So yeah, I'll just give a little background about me. So I'm from Minneapolis. I guess I don't know where your viewers are, or your listeners are from, but from the U.S., Minneapolis is a pretty big city in Minnesota. Grew up there, played college football at the University of North Dakota, which is a uh, Division One AA football school. Uh, did that for 4 years. Got my degree in kinesiology, and really, I did that because I didn't know what else I wanted to do. I was kind of a meathead. I was playing football, so I was lifting weights as part of the football program. I had a good relationship with the strength and conditioning coach on staff at North Dakota, and so that's what I chose as my major. Spent a couple of years in and out of the NFL and CFL. Um, and then after my playing career was done, I was just fortunate enough. Like I said, I had a good relationship with the strength coach I had at North Dakota. So I was fortunate enough that the timing just worked out that there was an opening for a strength and conditioning position back at North Dakota when my playing career was done. And so for those who are like in this industry, it's a lot about who you know and not what you know. So I was just really fortunate that the timing was right, that there was an opening here. So he just offered me the position. I didn't really have to interview or anything. So now I've been here coaching since 2018. Yeah, spring of 2018. And so it's almost 5 years now. Holy shit. Um, and now that's what I'm doing. I got my online business that I'm running, the YouTube, the Instagram, the website, all of that stuff. I'm on Train Heroic now, which is helping bring in a little bit more income. And then I'm coaching the teams on campus here. I got some softball athletes, golf athletes, tennis athletes, and then football. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, I'm teaching a little bit too, teaching on campus too, which is um, different, man. It's different. So it's especially because it's all online. Um,
Really?
yeah, it's crazy. I'll just tell this story. So I'm teaching a class called Exercise Testing and Prescription. When I took this type of class in college, it was like a lab based class. So you learn how to do the Wingate test, the VO2 max test. You would like draw blood, get people's blood pressure, all that kind of stuff, right? Lab stuff. Now it's online. And it's like, well, how are you going to like teach a VO2 max test to students who aren't even on campus? And so, I don't know, it's like crazy. So now me as an instructor, I have to figure out how to teach this. And the other thing about it is there are students that are in the UK. There are students that are in California. There are students that are in North
Crazy.
Dakota, on the East Coast, like in New York. So we can't do like live Zoom meetings because everyone's in different time zones. So I had to figure out a way to like teach this class, and so I kind of screwed myself over. I feel like I gave myself more work than I should have. So what I ended up doing, we're only a couple of weeks into it, but like each week we have like a new topic or reading that they have to do and a new assignment. And since it's exercise testing and prescription, and I don't know what access people have for equipment, uh, basically they just have to figure out a way to use whatever means necessary, what they have access to test some sort of physical quality. So like this past week, it was like maximum muscular strength. Now you don't need like a lab to do that. You can just do a 1 rep max, well, 1 rep max back squat or bench press or something. But like, I don't know why I'm telling the story, but yeah, that's the class I'm teaching, which is different than what most people probably do for like an exercise testing and prescription class, which would be like some anthro or like a VO2 max stuff like that. So
Mm.
that's kind of taken my it's like filled up my schedule in a way that I'm not happy with because now I have to read a bunch of papers on 1 rep maximal muscular strength and from like 40 students, which I guess I kind of put myself into this situation, but it is what it is. So yeah, staying busy.
That's strange, man. Like obviously we got into this because we like to move. We like to fucking move around, work out, play sport, yada yada. And now the academia attached to it is usually a little bit of both, right? Especially when it's a sports science degree. There's a bit of practical with it. We got the theory, guys. We think this is going to happen, but guess what? You've still got to go out there and see if it actually happens or not. And that's probably, well, it's definitely why I got addicted to it. And I'm like, because you can get the real smart people, which is definitely not me, right? And they're all like, "Oh, I know what's going to happen," pushing up the glasses and whatnot. And they're like, "Yeah, but guys, you now got to go in there and go test it." And usually that means we got to put ourselves through the frigging ringer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we like to do. And I love the little blend of it. It was like, okay, well, these smart people over there are going to come up with some new concepts and training systems, and we're going to do this and do that. And like, okay, now I'll go in the gym and go try it out. And I'm like, okay, just kind of like that lesser evolved individual that will go in, just kind of lift things or run or burpee or whatever, and then be like, that was really shit. They're like, okay, let's adapt. And that's what sports science is all about, right? It's all about, that's what fitness is all about. This blend of study and practical.
Yeah. Well, so you said you don't have a degree, right?
No,
Did you go to university at all?
for 1.5 months technically.
So how did you get into like your position? Like what
I
you're
got a
doing now?
couple of diplomas, load of other certifications that you either do online, and then you got to go do practicals, and then from external companies and stuff like that. But it's a lot more coursework based. Assessed over a period of time rather than writing an academic paper. It's a lot less of that. It's more of little units that you get assessed on, and then the practical base, and then yeah, okay, you got written exams at the end. Like, unfortunately, you're gonna have to pass that to get qualifications, right? But yeah, I got through diplomas and stuff like that.
Are you completely self-employed?
Yes,
That's awesome. That's the goal, man. To
yes.
get there. Yeah, so I don't have to rely on going to campus every day for a salary. Just be completely self-employed. Yeah.
It's
How
cool.
old are you?
I'm 26.
Oh shit, you're way younger than me. I'm 29.
That's only
Man.
3 years, bro.
You're way ahead of me.
Nah, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, I didn't get that piece of paper. But the 3 to 5 years that people stay at university or college, right? I was just kind of getting stuck in. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, well, I left home and packed my car and literally just drove south and was like, I think this is where I gotta go. I was already working at 3 different gyms trying to figure it out. Managed to develop myself in a certain capacity, got some certs, got some qualifications. Yep, mega. I'm one of those people that if I get given something to do at my own time, I will pull like 7 all-nighters in a row and I'll get it done within like a tenth of the time, right? Kind of one of those
Mm,
nutters, rather than like, oh yeah, I'll do it in a year. I was like, no, fuck that, I'll do it in a month. I just
yeah.
won't have a social life. I'll be super boring. But yeah, it's just experience, man. And I've had the absolute honor of coaching under some incredible people, and just rubbing shoulders with some incredible coaches. And I'm just like, well, what are you looking at? What are you thinking? Why? And then they push you to this, read that, go watch this video, go come to this seminar, right? Like, I remember being broke as fuck, and like, obviously I can't pay for seminars and these qualifications coming in, but I was lucky enough to work at a gym that would host a lot at the time, right? And I would always end up, coincidentally, quote unquote, in the gym on a Saturday morning cleaning, right? Obviously, I know the seminar's coming up. Obviously, I've not got a spot because I'm not paid for it. I'm there cleaning the toilet, scrubbing the floor, doing whatever the fuck I'm doing. Like, oh, hey guys, like, how you doing? You're right. And I kind of stick around. And then it was like, oh, we've actually got a spare spot and you're here. Do you want to jump in? I was like, sounds great. So it's kind of the way I've kind of got about things.
Yeah. Um, so like, do you have any projects you're working on right now?
In terms of fitness,
Yeah, just like business related stuff.
oh, business. Mine's
I mean,
uh,
I consider them like I merge them, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
well, they're one and the same, right?
For sure. I kind of like I wear a couple of different hats though. Like obviously we got the fitness side. You know, we do the S&C, coach within CrossFit gyms. I coach people living with disabilities quite a lot. And then doing further study to try and get onto the CrossFit seminar staff. So then you travel on weekends and you basically teach people on the weekend, right? But then I got a couple others. Like obviously I do this where we talk shop or we talk about something else. Some like before you today, I had a comedian on, and obviously we're just talking shit for a couple hours. Yeah. Right. And also I write books, man. So it's a little bit different. You know, I find I have to balance myself out of what I do. Otherwise, I go all consuming into it and I pretty much lose myself. And the people around me will just, they won't see me. You know, I got to balance myself out of like, all right, yeah, we're fucking meatheads. We like being in the gym, lifting fucking heavy weights, screaming at each other, coaching people, you know, always being sweaty and in that environment. But then I have to kind of sit down with a notebook and like write poetry, for example, and children's books. I got to have the other side. Otherwise, I just get all consumed. I'm this kind of weird creature.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about some things that are on my mind as far as like hot topics, I guess. I don't know, because you reached out to me through email. Do we follow each other on Instagram?
Yeah, I came across you and I was like, man, my man. So I've obviously emails a little bit better than the ethos of friggin' DMs. That's a weird place, man.
I guess no, I got some. We can talk about. So I made a post about. I don't know if you saw about rotational power. How I like reject the concept outright. Dude, so I got some people who just totally like straw man my opinion, or like they argue with something I didn't say. Just naturally, of course, that's what always happens.
Of course.
So now I'm like I'm getting a debate lined up with some guy, and anyways, I'll just talk about my opinion on here for a little bit about it.
Yeah, man, fire it at me.
Okay, so rotational power. We can attack this from like different angles. So rotational power. Okay, people will say athletes who are golfers, tennis players, baseball players, maybe boxers, right? They have this rotational power, this quality of rotational power. Okay. Now I work with women's collegiate golfers. All of them can probably outdrive me, right? Many would probably say, well, they have high rotational power outputs, and I can barely hit a fucking golf ball. If you are saying if you're gonna say so and so can hit a golf ball far, therefore they have rotational power, it would be foolish to say that these 19-year-old girls golfers, are more powerful than me, right? It's like what's your litmus test for rotational power? Number one, here's the other thing. In order to measure some sort of rotational capacity, you need to have a fixed point of rotation, right? The entire kinetic chain, how many joints are in the spine? What about the hips? What about the knees? What about the ankles? What about the shoulders? How many different points of rotation are there in the body when you're doing these dynamic movements like swinging a golf club or a baseball bat or throwing a baseball or something like that? There's no way to quantify this movement. You know what I mean? It's nonsense. And so you'll see someone could say, oh, here's another part to it. There is research. I wish I had the research on hand so I could like cite it, but I guess not. So like rotational medicine ball throws. I'll back up. So like you'll stand up and you do these throws, right? So there's research in there that would say, I think it was like EMG recordings of, if I do 10 throws, you do 10 throws, I'm going to use a different strategy to throw the ball every single rep. You're going to use a different strategy to throw the ball every single rep. So there's no way to actually standardize the movement because there's varying degrees of rotation at different joints, um, various speeds of rotations at different joints. And then if you're just measuring the velocity of the ball, you're not measuring rotational power, you're measuring the output of the velocity. And so, anyways, that's been on my mind for a long time because it just bothers me. So I work, like I said, I work with softball athletes, and no hate on the softball coach. He's awesome. He's a cool guy, but he wants to measure their rotational power. And instead of just seeing how fast the pitchers throw the ball, he wants to use a medicine ball and see how fast they throw the medicine ball. And as if you're going to get any useful data out of that because that's their rotational power. But it's like, well, if you care about this quality, don't you just care about how fast their pitches from the mound? You know what I mean? It's like, why are you taking some other modality to measure this quality that isn't specific to their sport? You know?
Yeah, this is a really good point of where has sports
And,
science
and
gone
I
too
used to work,
far?
I used to work with volleyball players.
Yeah,
Same thing, dude. Same. They would do like it was like a overhead, like a soccer throw-in.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was like that. It was kind of like to the side, and they would measure the velocity of the medicine ball that way. And I asked the volleyball coach, why are we doing this test to measure? Like, what are we measuring? And he said he wants to know what their rotational power is because he wants to know how hard they can hit a volleyball.
Why?
Like, why don't you just take a radar gun and see how hard they hit the volleyball? Like, that's going to give you more useful information than them throwing a medicine ball. And when you're throwing a medicine ball, you have your feet on the ground. When you're hitting a volleyball, you jump
Mm.
and you're unsupported. It's like it's a different move, like motor pattern. It's a totally different movement strategy.
You've
It's
taken
just a
out
different thing.
accuracy.
Like, yeah, there's just so many different things about it. It really bothers me. And I think another thing about it too is that um, this concept of rotational power kind of like doesn't get questioned very much.
Mm.
So this is funny. I don't know who tweeted this, but it was like a perfect tweet. This was a long time ago, probably a few months ago. Someone tweeted like, you obviously know what a single leg argument is.
Mm.
The tweet was like, the single leg RDL is like one of the worst exercises you can do because when you're having a collegiate athlete that they suck at it, they can't balance, they can't load it, but it's an exercise that everyone just does and no one questions it. I saw that and I was like, that is so true. Like, it's just one of those things that everyone does because it probably was taught by the NSCA or some certification handbook. And now it's just like part of so many people's programming and methodology. It just doesn't get questioned anymore. That's how I feel rotational powers, especially for athletes, especially for sports who are considered quote rotational athletes, which I think is just a flawed concept. It's just dumb.
Mm. I think
It can't be justified. And then the other thing is if so if you are a baseball player, if you're a pitcher, and the goal is to throw 95 miles an hour, and you're currently throwing 90 miles an hour, do you really think like in throwing an 8-pound medicine ball is like going to provide the stimulus to get you that adaptation to get to 95?
mm,
You know what I mean? And if throwing a medicine ball is a strong enough stimulus, that means you're severely untrained. Like
mm,
you don't need much of a stimulus to adapt anyways.
mm.
It's like, I don't know. Bothers me.
I think we're overcomplicating it. You know what I mean? Like we're now in an era in the S&C scene, unfortunately, where we like statistics. We want like an entire Excel document full of all these random stats on every player, right? And my question would be, are they injured? Are they healthy? Is their head okay? Like mental health stuff. And are they getting better at the fucking sport? And if yes, they are, great. Why do you need to know what the bloody backflip with a pirouette and whatever for a rugby match, for an NFL match, right? Like it doesn't make sense to me. You're like, okay, we're going to do basics and we're going to do them really fucking well. And then guess what? We're going to get really fucking good at them. And then you're going to go get good at your sport. And that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can dissect our job as much as you want, but I always go back to it's just basic, man. We need to do the basics well. Yeah, they need to move well because obviously rate of injury goes up if they don't, and we know all that. Yeah, fine. And we don't really want them to move shit and then go outside of the gym and hurt themselves, right? Outside of their sport, outside of the gym, because that's annoying. If you're going to get injured, you want to do it on the field, right? Okay, that's good, but just build the foundation, build it pretty goddamn strong and pretty wide, and then they let them go get good at the sport. Let their specific coaches for volleyball, softball, golf teach them that, right? Rather than like, yeah, I want to know metrics for rotational power. First of all, who the fuck cares,
Who
right?
cares?
Like
Yeah.
it's wasting my time, it's wasting yours, it's wasting the athlete's time, right? When they could be getting better, they could be refining the skill on a pitch, they could be working on a frigging air squat for all I know. They could be in the sauna working on their bloody recovery. I think it's just, I honestly think it's ego from the coach or the scientist or someone saying like, I know something that you don't know. I was like, it's quite frigging basic. What we do is quite basic. It's complicated, but when you break it down, we just have to do the basics well, and that's it.
Yeah. And like, I'm not the only one who said something like this before, but like when people get into this like hyper specificity realm, and then they start doing, have you seen those like, I think Cal Dietz is the first person that I've seen do it. It's like banded hamstring kicks. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like you lie down on
Yes.
your back. Yeah. And then you're like kicking the bands or whatever. And that's supposed to be like sprint specific. It's like that's way more different than similar to
Mm-hmm.
sprinting. And
Mm-hmm.
so now your hyper specificity is so unspecific, and it's like the horseshoe. Like you thought you were
Yep.
becoming so specific, but yeah, like this. I just think like the phrase to explain it well is your exercises are more different than they are similar. No matter what you choose, even if you like accept the premise that everything you're doing is general, well, now at least you acknowledge that everything you're doing is general, and
Mm-hmm.
that's going to lead you to a better approach anyways. But if you're trying to become hyper specific, you're still so much whatever you're doing is still so much more different than it is similar to the actual sport or the actual skill or the actual activity. And it like another example of this is like isometric mid thigh pulls or like single leg isometric back squats into pins, and you're in this like your hip is near full extension, your knee is near full extension, and it's supposed to mimic this like sprinting type high velocity sprinting position. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, now you're doing an isometric, which is not dynamic. Like now it's even more different from sprinting than just a normal back squat.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You'd get more out
yeah,
of just going and doing some friggin' plyometrics or something,
yeah,
like,
yeah. It's just like all this whole specificity thing, and obviously it comes and goes in waves. Like certain time periods, people are more trying to become more specific than people are trying to become more general.
mm.
And like I always am just like trying to be as general as possible. But like,
Me too, man. That's
yeah,
why I like CrossFit, because essentially it's based off the Navy SEALs. It was kind of birthed out of that mindset of, hey, we kind of need to be able to do everything, you
have you
know?
competed in CrossFit?
Yeah, man. Like
Oh,
obviously
really?
not like international, but yeah, dude. Like, I mean, it's a great thing. I think it's awesome for GPP. But my first question is, do you enjoy it? And if the answer is no, I say go find something else.
Yeah, yeah,
Like go
yeah,
do
yeah.
something else, man. You don't have to do this thing. But like, I think it's great. Why? Because it teaches you how to squat, hinge, push, pull in both a vertical and a horizontal plane, carry, and it teaches you to do the three major modalities. Like,
Yeah, CrossFit takes a lot of shit that doesn't need to take. Like people hate on it more than it needs to be hated. I
yeah,
think it's not becoming that much as it used to be, but like CrossFit's fucking awesome. It shouldn't get the hate that it gets.
but as
It's
always, it's down to
Do you
the
follow
implement.
Angus Bradley? You know Angus Bradley?
No, no.
It's dude, he's awesome. He posted on Instagram. This is perfect. It was like it's a meme, and it's a picture of like a long distance runner, like a skinny long distance runner, and then a picture of a CrossFitter. And
Mm.
CrossFitters are like jacked,
Yeah.
well built, in like have a really good aerobic base, right? They're like the best of everything. Not the best, but like they're well rounded. And it was like what lifters think will happen if you start doing cardio with weights. And it's a picture of the skinny long distance runner. And then it's like what actually happens if you mix cardio with lifting weights. And it's like a jacked CrossFitter. It's like,
Mm.
it's true, man. It's true. CrossFit, yeah,
And
it's
it's,
well rounded.
I think most strength athletes need to understand is if you have some sort of aerobic base or build a pretty half decent aerobic base, your overall work capacity's gone up. So now you can do more volume, more intensity with your specific strength training sport, and you potentially might get better. Plus, obviously, the main thing, you're looking after your goddamn heart.
Yeah, and it's kind of lame to be strong and nothing else. Like
Yeah, like
if
getting
you
out of
if you
breath
have
going
like
up the
a really
stairs.
good if you have like a really strong squat, but you can't even run like an 8 minute mile, like that's kind of lame.
Hmm.
If you're the type of guy who if you're like the strong guy in your friend group, and so then if someone needs help like moving furniture or doing some sort of work around their house, and you're the strong guy, so they ask you to help out, but then you get gassed after like 15 seconds of work, like that's embarrassing. And then the weaker guys who don't get gassed right away are actually like more useful. It's like
It's
it's
quite
kind
funny,
of
man.
lame if you're strong and nothing else.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I kind of I pendulum between being full blown CrossFitter and then full blown weightlifter, right? And when I weightlift, obviously my lifts are so much better. Specifically, I might be a little bit stronger, right? But then everything else just fucking drowns. I walk up the stairs and I'm getting a little bit of little bit of a sweat on, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? You're like, your
Yeah.
strict pull-ups go down, and like, I'm like, wait, hold on a minute, why can't I pull myself to the bar as many times as I can? And CrossFit is crazy. Like, if you get pretty decent at everything, life is friggin' easy.
Yes. Yep.
Life is so
100%.
much easier, dude. I got 3 questions.
Okay. Let's hear
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
them. I don't know if I've really had. I'm sure my parents have given me a lot of really good advice, but I can't like. Are you looking for like a quote or
No,
something?
whatever, man.
I
It could
don't
be
know.
anything.
Oh, I guess. Well, so okay. So my wife and I are starting an Airbnb business, so we had to go buy property, and we're just in like the early stages of it, and so like it's a risk to take, right? To like buy property and then rent it out and make it profitable. I mean, her parents, my parents said you're not going to be able to like you gotta take the risk to do it, and like you have to just do it at some point. You can't sit there and think about. I guess I don't. Yeah, just like if you have an idea, you have to pursue it, or else you're not going to make anything of it. I guess that would be it. You know. And same with my like online. So like with my Instagram, YouTube, just putting out my ideas. You get that imposter syndrome at first, right? You know what I mean? And I'm sure you felt that too. And it took probably, I don't know, probably took me like 4 or 5 months before I felt comfortable just expressing my ideas without feeling like a tool. I don't know. But yeah, you have to just get over that shit.
You have
Just
to.
go pursue it, or else you're not going to make anything out of it if you don't pursue it.
Mm. Chase that shit, man.
Yeah.
What's the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Oh shit. Uh, I don't know. I want to say nothing because I hope no one's giving me bad advice. Because I don't think my parents have. I don't think my brother has. I don't have an answer for that one, man. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay, man. That's okay, man. That's a good place to be, you know. I've heard a lot of shit advice over in my time, mate.
I've
Like,
probably given some bad advice. I hope not, but I've probably given some.
yeah, maybe. I think we've all done that, man. All right, last question. What are the 3 words you tell your younger self?
3 words. Um, be confident. Be confident. Here, can I just say like don't be retarded? That's three words right there. Like, don't be fucking retarded. Like, there's right and wrong, there's good and bad. There's objective truths, there's objective falsehoods. Pursue right, pursue good, pursue truth. You're probably going to end up in a good spot
Mm.
if you pursue those three things and not their counterparts. So that'd be it.
Mm. That's a really good point.
Yeah, try to pursue virtue and try to not pursue vice. Avoid vice, pursue virtue.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's yeah, man. It's definitely a rabbit hole that we can all fall down. We can all become victim to that, right?
Hmm.
It's just like the old quote of a man who possesses no purpose. What is it? Distracts himself with instant pleasures or something like that. It's a paraphrase,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. Pursuing pleasure for the sake of pleasure is not going to lead to fulfillment.
now you need
And
to sort yourself out, man. If you start feeling yourself slip into that vice of like an instant gratification or an instant
yes,
pleasure or something, you need that hard conversation with yourself, or pull one of your close family members, close mates in and be like, listen, man, give me the whole fucking thing here. You're gonna have to tell me the real shit. And I really
yeah,
do believe that.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I totally agree with that.
Dude, this has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
Thanks, man. It's fucking flown by.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already been 40 minutes.
I
I'm looking at
know.
the clock right now.
Mate, I hope you have a fucking great day. Enjoy your dinner with your wife. A little bit of downtime, you know.
Yeah, I
And
hope you have it because it's July or January 24th for you now. So
yeah,
you have
man.
a good rest of your day. I'm just gonna be going to bed in a few hours.
Amazing, man. I'll have to hit you up for a session if I'm ever like knocking around the States, man.
Yeah, shoot me a message, man.
Yeah, we'll throw some weights around, get some coffee, talk some shit. Sounds ideal.
Sounds good, man.
Legend. All right. Enjoy your dinner.
Take care, dude.
Peace, man. Bye, everybody.